challenges of rebuilding ruins.
Lad.
What an extraordinary building.
Yeah.
It's only a bit of timber and a couple of wires.
To create homes fit for the future. On a November day in 2022, I'm leaving the beaten track and heading into the woods. On the banks of Lough in County Roscommon, the ghostly ruins of the Anglo-Irish Rockingham estate lurk between the trees. Good day.
How are you? Paddy.
Very nice to
Fiona.
meet you. Fiona. I'm here to meet Paddy Dunn and Fiona Brewer, two Dublin-based architects who are planning a future for themselves and their children, Mary and Grace, in this unusual setting. As well as embarking on the radical adventure of relocating to the middle of a fairy tale forest, they're taking on an unlikely quest. They've been bewitched by this curious building and want to make these four stark walls their home. What an extraordinary building. The detail and the quality of the stonework is extraordinary. What was the building?
We think an old cow byre, so like basically a high quality milking parlour basically.
They must have been very special cows. When did you buy this and how did you buy it?
We bought it early or late, 2018. There's a forest park in the estate and I've been working kind of doing adventure sports and things in the forest park, kind of as I was setting up as an architect.
Paddy really loved here and he introduced me to here and this just came out and it's absolutely beautiful.
So it's a protected structure.
Yeah.
So you've had to deal with those issues?
And half the roof fell in while we were buying it. So it was on its way out.
When they bought the building, it was on its last legs. Trees were growing right up to the walls. They've already fought back the overgrowth and taken off the ruined roof. The cowhouse's 11 arches will be glazed to form large metal frame windows and doors. The existing cobbled strip will become a corridor linking the family bathroom and 3 bedrooms, of which Fiona and Paddy's will have an ensuite. The corridor will lead into the open-plan living room, dining area and kitchen with a utility alongside. Fiona and Paddy will add steel to form a pitched roof using the cowhouse's original slates. The back windows are small, and with light an issue in the woods, they have designed a roof light running the length of the building. There will be a home office in a prefabricated cabin alongside. How much you pay for it?
Under 100.
And with that, there's a bit more land, is there?
There's an acre around it, yeah. So from the road here beside us back and out to each side, we're kind of in the centre of an acre of forest.
Right. So what you have is one big old shed, and I can see from here you've already done a little bit of work.
There's 11 arches along this side, that's the main feature. 2 of the arches had the stone just robbed out of them about maybe 15 years ago.
No.
So yeah.
And filled in with concrete block.
Lovely.
They were filled with concrete blocks, yeah. So we've had that done already. It was lovely seeing the 11 all back in a row. Like.
And I see a bit of concrete floating around.
Yeah, that's recent. That's new concrete.
And what's that doing?
That's our ring beam to hold steel.
Okay, so you have the old stone wall, you put on a piece of concrete
cap, yeah.
and that sort of holds it all together.
That's making it stable.
Will we go inside?
Yeah.
Indoors and outdoors is a relative concept here.
Well, you're standing in the corridor.
I'm in the corridor.
You're in the corridor. We kept the arches. We wanted to always see the arches rather than putting rooms up against them.
Yeah. So you've all sorts of yummy things here. You've got this beautiful cut stone. Your intention for all these yummy bits?
Take them out and put them back in again.
Fine.
Yeah.
They plan to remove, clean and reset each cobble along their future corridor. Preserving materials is often more time-consuming and expensive than replacing. So I have my cobbles back and I'll have my lovely stone.
Stone down the corridor.
Great.
Yeah.
And then I come to here and I have... What do I have in here?
New stone from there in. The cobbles there are they're They're probably a bit too rough. They're
Yeah,
kind
fine.
of cow's cobbles rather than person cobbles.
Yeah. And I have beautiful walls.
Yes, they are.
And what happens then?
The plan is to do as little as possible to leave them if we think we can. So what we want to do is just repoint the mortar joints on the walls and leave them
On the
as they are.
inside,
On the inside as well, yeah.
on the outside.
But, you know, like these old buildings, they call the shots on a lot of things, and you just have to just go with it.
I'm concerned that the building calling the shots might lead them towards a very cold, uninsulated home. What type of heating is going in here?
The plan at the moment is underfloor heating, because it's a new floor, with an air-to-water heat pump, and then backup from the stove, just old-fashioned stove backup.
Okay. Without insulation, these four walls could draw in the damp and the cold. That's facing north. So whether you like it or not, you're going to have to insulate that wall, the wall down there, and whatever amount of wall you leave on this side.
That is being debated.
If you don't insulate that wall, your air-to-water system will be working overtime.
Yeah.
And it'll negate any savings. And how much money are you spending?
About 350,
Okay. What's the floor area of this building?
130 square meters.
Roof to go on is
Yeah.
how you doing? It's all timber or steel,
It's timber and steel.
right?
Steel frame.
Yeah, with a roof light.
With a roof light
Sorry,
the whole way.
excuse me.
Yeah.
Running
You're going to
the
love it.
whole length of the building. I think what you have is extraordinary. The building is extraordinary. The pair of you are just amazing. You see a glass half full.
Yeah.
Well, you do. And if you didn't see that, you wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
What Paddy and Fiona have acquired is stunning. It's a dream for two architects. And they are so passionate and emotional and engaged in this project, and they want perfection. They want the walls exposed. They want beautiful metal windows. They want underfloor heating. And because they're both architects, they will be driven by the detail, by the nitty-gritty. And it concerns me what that will do to their timeline. I believe that Fiona and Paddy are going to have to adjust their fairy tale vision to actually end up with a home that's functional, that is warm, that is beautiful, that is meeting their exacting standards. The steel for the roof was due to arrive a week after my visit. But 3 months pass and there's still no sign of steel delivery. It's February 2023 and Fiona and Paddy are stuck in Dublin. They're doing their best to keep things moving.
Okay, perfect. Great, thanks. I'm just waiting for paint now for the trusses, so whenever that gets there, so it's in the next couple of days. And then when that's in, like a week or two, then they'll all be up. So happy days.
Happy days.
Full
That's
steam
brilliant.
ahead then. Yeah, good.
The complicated uniqueness of the cowhouse delayed the process of ordering steel.
It looks like a perfectly rectangular building. And when the old roof came off, the dimensions and measurements weren't quite adding up. And we had to find where the discrepancy was so that the new steel could line up so that your gutters lined up with your roof properly if the gutters are on the old part and the roof is the new part. And that actually took a lot of figuring out that it's not just one discrepancy where the building was damaged at one point, but there was other little bits here and there. So figuring that out actually, took a long time.
Finally, at the end of March, news comes through that the steel is on its way. With the trusses weighing up to 2,500 kilos and the roofless months taking their toll, there's still a danger that these old walls could crumble. They've repaired some of the pointing and sealed the walls with ring beam, but exposure to the elements means there are still loose stones. Paddy springs into action, jigsawing together stones from the cowhouse floor to shore up the weak points.
The internal face of these walls, it's not meant to be exposed to the weather. So we've had just some issues here with over the winter. The timber, which was already full of woodworm and rot, is just starting to go a little bit too much. So with the lintels just starting to fail, you can see they'll sag before they break. So the stone above them is coming loose. So we were just taking out some pieces. Once the roof is on, we have arranged for a stonemason to come in and work underneath it with what will then be a dry interior. He's got quite a bit of kind of localized patching up and repairs, and then repointings, replacing the mortar here in between all the stones. So yeah, he'll be here getting stuck into that, hopefully as soon as the roof is on. It's a good milestone to hit, and straight away now I was like, yeah, on with the next thing.
Where today there is forest was, in the 18th and 19th centuries, the parklands of Rockingham House. Designed by Buckingham Palace architect John Nash for its supremely wealthy Anglo-Irish owners. As with many Victorian domains, the grounds were elaborately laid out to show the extent of their interest and influence. As well as follies, bridges and dovecots, it was planted with dramatic trees from far away. Fiona and Paddy have noticed that one of these towering trees has been uprooted in the winter storms. It's been held up in the canopy, but if it falls, they see the potential to use it for timber in the house.
It would be brilliant to be able to use the timber from the woods in the kitchen, and the way that we'd use it, echoing the dappled effect of the trees, but then to have it actually the tree from the woods would just be ideal.
That is a western red cedar. That's kind of pretty much the ideal timber for using for construction. If it falls, it has to fall by itself. We're not supposed to or are allowed to give it a nudge. It has to do its own thing. If we're patient, we'll get it, because it's one of the very, very last things to do is to put the wall and ceiling finishes on.
We really want to bring the forest into the house. The smell of it and the look of it and everything would just be wonderful.
If this tree falls in the forest, Fiona and Paddy intend not only to hear it, but to build their kitchen around it. They couldn't afford to buy in Dublin and have always rented. But during their long wait to make their new home happen, Fiona and Paddy are lucky enough to be able to stay in Fiona's parents' house there. They're saving money by bringing as much of their existing furniture with them as possible.
This chair was my first Christmas present from Paddy when we were going out. We both gave each other bits of furniture, so I think it was a sign that we were definitely going to be setting up home together.
It's July 2023, 4 long months since the steel roof sections went in. And at last, today work begins on constructing the roof itself. But this hulking building measures 25 metres long and over 6 metres wide, so every element of the process is on a large scale. A month later, the huge feat of re-roofing the building in its original shape is complete, but there's no progress on the interior. I'm visiting to talk to Fiona and Paddy about next steps.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good,
Lovely
good,
to
good.
see you again,
Yeah.
Paddy.
Hi, you. How are you?
Fiona, well, all ready to move in, I say?
Oh, yeah.
I would.
You would.
Fiona and Paddy are meticulously planning every element of design here, from their innovative roof vents to the way the slates meet the gutter.
The glass is going to have a clean corner, and we thought we had to keep that going all the way down the slate.
Yeah, and we played with looking at the renders, what colour that gutter should be, because it's going to stand out as a clean line. Like, should it be a black?
So the devil's in the detail.
That's it exactly, yeah.
You know, you have the affliction about being architects.
Almost half the building here is going to be open kitchen, dining, living area. Everything opening up out to the courtyard, which will be kind of integral part to it.
And then I've got a roof light in the middle.
Yeah, and the roof light is running the entire length of the ridge as well.
Do sections of that open?
No, the roof light is fixed the whole way.
So how'd you get a bit of air?
There's a mechanical ventilation
Oh, the
system
good
going in.
old mechanical
Yeah.
ventilation.
Their passion for perfection is admirable, but also time-consuming and often costly. They've designed their own ventilation system and commissioned leadworks to cut sheet lead flashing to their precise specifications.
Your budget was circa about 350.
That was the initial estimates on it, but then increases pushed that up. And then there was grants available. There were heritage grants, which kind of evened that out. So we're sort of still kind of on track to build it as we wanted, still in the money we have available, saving away like
Brilliant.
as best we can.
The grants have become important to you,
Yes.
particularly on a project like this.
They're a game changer, yeah, on these
Oh,
kind
really
of jobs,
is.
yeah.
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 Okay. And when are you moving in?
I think at the moment it probably looks like maybe sort of March, assuming everything goes in a fairly linear way.
March is 7 months away, but they've made big steps towards their new woodland life. They've uprooted from Dublin and moved their practice into a prefabricated cabin on site, so they can oversee the build while continuing with their paid work. Today marks another significant change, and anticipation is running high as Noel Cullen and his window team install the signature roof light.
The early versions of the roof, they had some roof light, kind of standard roof lights just popped along, like little small window ones on one side. And we just felt it wasn't having enough impact. We wanted something here that would mirror in with the forest surroundings better.
Along with the plans for glazing the arches, this bespoke 23-metre long roof light forms the heart of Fiona and Paddy's design. The frameless triangular prism showcases the modernity of the restoration while complementing the roof's original form. Most of all, they want to let dappled forest light into every room.
We're only clearing the steel by a couple of millimetres there when we're lifting up. If that touches that steel, we are in trouble. So, yeah, there is a bit of tension.
2 hours of complicated manoeuvring later, without disaster, the final part of this delicate apex is lowered into place.
That's it. How you feeling? Happy. Very happy.
The stunning roof light seals in the building from above and brings a taste of the couple's definitive creative style to the building. But Paddy and Fiona are determined to let their unusual building lead them. To help them follow that path, I've brought them to Dublin's Ranelagh to visit a home which, because of the tricky triangular plot on which it was built, led its owner to a truly radical design. This home stands out among the local Georgian and Victorian brick buildings with its bold lines and curves.
Isn't this just amazing? It's like a spaceship.
It is.
Unlike the stark rectangle of their cowshed, this structure is built around a vast ellipse. It's an upside-down house with a staircase leading from the bedrooms downstairs to a roof deck kitchen on the upper floor. Fiona and Paddy first heard about this house when they were architectural students.
I think we might be wasting time here now when we could be having a really good snoop around this building. So, yeah.
Well, let's go.
Yeah, I've wanted to see inside this house since it was built, since I was in, I think, maybe second year in college.
No, that's one.
Seeing it in the flesh, it's doing more than I'd even thought.
The light, the colour here is so beautiful. Just the detail, the materials, how it all fits together and how every single little corner has been thought about.
It's everywhere, like it's everything. Across the next thing, it's going to be as much fun.
Yeah.
The level of kind of precision and accuracy and use of everything with purpose doesn't let up at all from top to bottom.
They're letting in light to their new home via their roof light and arches. Here, a copper-walled stairwell makes the most of the sunlight from the roof terrace above.
And then it comes out as this beautiful light-reflecting sculptural piece of art. And it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
I love the use of the curtains. So you have your privacy.
The mirrors are brilliant. You look way down there and you can see the sky. It's inspiring, and just to see that other people go to this level of detail. Yeah, it's what we want to do.
I'm looking forward to all of that now from the pair of you.
Yeah, the stakes are high now.
Yeah,
There you go, you see? With the design stakes roof light high, Fiona and Paddy are back to site to deal with more earthy matters. The cowhouse's sloped cobble floor must be dug up to level the surface. The building has proved to be just above bedrock, making the process harder.
The floor that was in the building, you know, it was originally for animals. There were cows in it, and it wasn't going to work. So we had to take that floor out. We kind of expected to hit a certain amount of rock that had to come out. There was a bit more there than we'd hoped for.
It's 9 months since I first visited, and Fiona and Paddy's fairy tale home is still floorless, windowless, and open to the wild wood. Winter's on its way, and this building needs to be sealed in as soon as possible. Architects Fiona Brewer and Paddy Dunn have left the city to set up home in the middle of an enchanted forest. The quest to tame a ruined cowhouse as their home is no easy one. They want to respect each quirky element of this unusual building and bring their eye for perfection to bear on every aspect of the design.
Today, David from Arrow Joinery is coming to measure the arches. He's making all the windows and doors. Measuring for the windows is the most urgent thing now. We need to get the windows in before Christmas so the plastering can happen. So then finishes after Christmas and then in March. Don't know, can't say. Scrap that.
Fiona's confidence in her move-in date is wavering.
Hi David, good to see you.
Good to see you.
They need windows in as soon as possible to progress. But the cowhouse's hand-built quirks means there are no straight lines or regular curves to work around.
1695.
It's a one-off, but this is what we do. This is what we love. It's a challenge, and bring it on.
It's all quite specific to this job. Measuring today has to be, pretty spot on. Not much wiggle room in it.
2085.
Fiona and Paddy are devoted to celebrating the building's original look and have designed windows which meet the stone directly. Although they will be carefully crafted to the arch measurements taken today, the windows will need straight edges. Unfortunately, the walls themselves are far from plumb. There's nothing for it but to crack out the cardboard.
Usually on a new build, everything is level, so we can measure with a laser. But coming back to a stone building like this project here, we've got to go back to basics. It's going to be 14 weeks from the date of order to site. If something wasn't right, we're going to have a major delay there.
With a 14-week wait ahead until the windows are made, the building has to be boarded up to keep out the elements. But whatever the weather, now that they're working from the site, Fiona and Paddy are fast becoming at one with the forest.
There's an awful lot here that we really love. There's loads of wildlife here already.
With the fox and the robins and the hedgehogs and the deer. Yeah.
There's a new resident here at the cowhouse. They're on site so much, Foxy, a neighbourhood fox, has adopted them.
So about November, a little fox came along and she was very lame and very poorly and obviously couldn't hunt for herself. So we started looking after her and she has made her home here.
As well as bonding with the local wildlife and devoting themselves to their building's every whim, Fiona and Paddy are keen to know all about its history. It is likely that their grandiose cowhouse was built during a period of modernisation of the Rockingham estate in the early 19th century. Their building doesn't make it to the history books, but on a frosty night, Fiona and Paddy are venturing into the forest to meet Dr. Tomás Lough Conmara, who explores memories of agrarian unrest. He wants to tell them about a significant event which took place here in 1918 in the run-up to the War of Independence. A group of local Republican volunteers met here with a plan to raid the big house for weapons.
The night was very similar to tonight. You know, it was dark, cold time of the year, and they're approaching this massive, symbol of British rule in Ireland in terms of the Rockingham house and the estate.
This vast stable block is all that remains of the house.
The scale of the buildings, like the one beside us, one of the few remaining buildings, was just so dramatic in terms of its contrast to the way in which most Irish people lived at the time.
When we were looking into the history of our building and looking at the 1911 census, I couldn't get over. You had this massive big estate, huge, like 30 windows looking out the front. When you had all of these people living in these tiny little houses, working on the grounds, the contrast, that injustice.
Fiona has a personal connection with this era. Republican leaders Cathal Brugha and Terence McSweeney are both great-grandfathers of hers.
Now, the orders, Fiona would have come from people like your great-granddad, Cathal Brugha. So at that stage, an estate like this, they would have had significant amount of arms, and the Irish were very short on long arms. They were really doing something tangible towards the Republican movement, towards the idea of revolution in Ireland. They first encountered the butler who opened the door. The rest of the staff were moved into one room, but it would seem from the records we have that they were fairly compliant, so the implication there is that they maybe have been even somewhat supportive of what the fellas were doing. The arms were taken, and there's a statement I have here which was written in 1954 by a man called James Feely, who was actually one of the men involved that night on the raid. But he writes in this statement about support and information that they got leading up to it, which may connect directly to the home that you're reviving. I have it here for you.
Early in 1918, we got fed up waiting to be supplied with arms and decided that we would get them for ourselves. James Flanagan was a herdsman in Rockingham Castle. Flanagan told us that there were arms in the gun room and gave us the details of the house.
James Flanagan is obviously like a central character in the story of the raid because he takes the risk to give the information to the volunteers about the layout of the house, where the arms are in the house. We can say for certainty that he would have been connected to the building and in and out of it all of the time.
The ruined cowhouse may have housed the herder who made this significant raid possible.
There's definitely a lot of evidence there that there's part of the building, one section of it was divided off from the main section.
Whitewash, we might have to keep now because Flanagan.
You have to keep the whitewash.
Yeah.
They had led a successful raid on a symbol of British rule in Ireland, and it encouraged the community, it encouraged the Republican movement. The significance of that moment, the connection to what will now be your home, adds another layer of meaning and depth to your locality and now to your home.
Rockingham House burnt down in a house fire in 1957, but thanks to Fiona and Paddy, the cowhouse looks set to survive another century. Back in the cowhouse by the light of day, Fiona wants to use the historic whitewash as a reference for the colour scheme for the soon-to-be installed walls.
Sky. What I'm trying to do today is match my wall paint with the pale colours in the wall. So what I want is something that's not too yellow, not too grey, a warm pale, and I want it to go everywhere. I don't want to have a contrast between ceiling and walls, and I'm not going to have anything different between bedrooms. Romney wool is the one that stands out as being kind of harmonious with what we've got here. Take these and see how our furniture which is my phone, Lough's in the house with it. And then the couch. Yeah. I'm happy with Romney wool for now. We're lucky here in the tones of the limestone and the bricks that there's a lot of warmth in them. If we were to just, say, put in a polished concrete floor where it was just grey, then you'd have a lot of grey because there's a lot of grey in the larger stones. But so if we bring some warmth in and get a lot more of those yellow tones and the terracottas and the warm tones, then I think we're moving away from the too grey, too cold then. It'll feel, hopefully, you know, like that warm, homely feeling of nestled in with cows in a cow byre.
It's no wonder Fiona's focusing on creating a cosy home. It's October 2023 and a spate of storms has been battering the country. Their house is in the path of a domino-like lineup of trees.
We had a few trees come down during the last 2 storms. I think the first storm weakened them, the second storm knocked them.
The tree that we had our eye on, the western red cedar that was leaning, did fall, and we were delighted. I mean, there was no guarantee that it would fall for us in time. It was moving and slowly, but it came down just at the time that was in time for us to be able to use the timber.
I was flabbergasted. Myself and Paddy went for just a little walk just to check it out, and it had come down. It was one of the big storms. So it will be cut soon and dried, and then we'll be using it as details in the house.
They've hit the tree jackpot and now will be able to use the local cedar wood to create their kitchen. A second Christmas has passed since my first visit, and I'm calling in on my woodland friends Fiona and Paddy to discover how far off their project is from bursting into leaf.
So it's a long time since I've been here. The roof light's in, the plasterwork's really advancing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's moving and looking good.
For me, the big issue is what you're doing with the walls. How are you dealing with insulation?
I'm concerned that without insulation, these bare walls could make for a cold home, and the unfinished pointing will let in moisture.
Ideally, you'd lime insulate this wall.
Yeah, I mean, and that's an opinion, you know. There's pros and cons for doing it, but I mean, there are...
Tell me the con.
The con for doing it? But is it necessary? Definitely. I
don't
know
absolutely.
that it is.
Yeah, like this is a major undertaking. But I just think you need to also have a little bit of practicality in terms of insulation. That's all.
Yeah.
I suspect this pair are opting for an extravaganza over covering up their much-loved walls.
There's a new roof and a new floor, both of which have, you know, there's more insulation in the roof than you'd have in a new built roof.
It's about being able to live in the building happy. Your walls in your bathroom and your bedroom need to be insulated, particularly at the far end, because that'll never see the sun. And so I just think you need to think about that.
But I mean, the pointing outside, we can do that when we're moved in. And that's not going to stop us.
Well, I don't believe you can. When you turn the heating on, if you haven't addressed the water coming through, this building will act as a siphon and it'll literally suck the water.
Yeah, but it'll suck the water through the stone. If there's loads of rain continuously
yeah, but it's still
soaking
getting in. It's still, I'm saying to you, you need to address the pointing on the outside because you have to stop the water getting in.
It's all very well being at one with the forest, but not when the rain is dripping onto your bed linen. It's March 2024, just before Paddy's Day, and Paddy is feeling celebratory about a big arrival here.
Windows have just arrived today. You can see some of them behind me. They're unloaded and starting to install 1 or 2 of them. There's about 3 days work in installing them. It's looking good so far. It's cold and wet. It's fine for the windows. It mightn't be the best for morale. It's very unforgiving trying to put the windows in without having a plaster finish either inside or outside, so it has to be a really tight fit against the stone. There's 11 arches in total, So 11 bespoke windows going in.
Unfortunately, the cold, wet weather is hindering an already intricate process. The ceiling tape to fill the millimetres between the frame and the stone is not expanding. Paddy has to do an emergency dash to Carrick-on-Shannon in search of a specialist tool. A hairdryer. Nozzle chosen, work proceeds, but it takes a full 4 hours. Finally, the frames are ready to take the glass.
There is a chance that there might be a problem with something, but I'm not nervous about it. Honestly, the people who are working on it are really good. And if there's a problem, there's always a way to fix it.
The windows will form the crowning glory of this restoration, so they are handled with extreme care. It's the worst possible outcome. An entire custom-cut pane has shattered.
We had a little accident, so one of the units broke. It's difficult to say what happened exactly. We guess when we were lifting the unit into place, one of the edges touched the granite somewhere. That's the best guess. All we could see is just million pieces.
The window company will replace the glass, but it's a disappointing setback. They had hoped to move in this month, but they are having to adjust their plans. It's a shimmering July morning in the magical forest on the banks of Lough in County Roscommon. 20 months have passed since I first visited the ruined roofless cowhouse here. I'm back to visit architect couple Fiona and Paddy to find out if, despite delays and broken panes, they have achieved their ambitious vision for the old building to which they are so devoted. Approaching via the new drive and through the developing wild garden, the stunning finish of the glazed arches delivers an unexpected elegance. Goodbye, cowhouse. Hello, Italianate colonnade. Good morning. How are you? Lovely to see you.
How are you?
Through the innovative glazed pivot front door I go, and inside my breath is taken away.
Wow,
What do you think?
I think it's stunning.
The fallen tree has provided for the timber light feature on the ceiling, and the kitchen doors are in red cedar veneer to match, bringing a surprising combination of softness, simplicity, and cathedral-like elevation.
Coming in here is amazing, because I was afraid actually a bit austere, but it isn't. The idea of the timber in the ceiling, which I thought was nuts.
Might be a bit nuts.
Maybe it is nuts, yeah. but we like it.
It works.
The smell is wonderful.
Yeah. That's the timber from the tree just outside here that we were willing and hoping would fall over.
You got your floor down, the original floor.
Original floor, we sent it off to the local stone guys and got them all back and laid them all underfloor heating underneath. And same with the cobbles, took all the cobbles out and laid them back in again.
Yeah, and the nice thing here is your cobbles go from inside to out.
So you're just taking as much of the building as it was and the best of it as it was and keeping it.
This floor looks great.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun picking the individual fossils. So the girls picked ones for their room.
They're oysters. They're 380 million year old oysters.
Yeah, but they're fabulous, aren't they?
Yeah.
I would expect nothing less than hand-selected fossil flooring from this fabulously eccentric family.
Everything in this home is architectural.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and kind of unapologetically. So we know that is us.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but then it's balanced against furniture which is comfortable, and to me is very soft.
Yes.
visually soft, and I think that complements the room. So, as I said, that feeling I would have concerned myself with about sort of it being a bit austere, it most certainly isn't.
There's real heart to this home.
I loved the tiles in the wall and the little recesses.
They came from my grandmother's house
Fantastic.
outside Ballina, that was demolished a while ago. And there's a few little remnants of it that we've kept, so it's lovely to get things like that in.
And I loved that detail.
Isn't it super?
Isn't that
It's just
fantastic?
lovely. I love it.
So there's a lots of sophistication here.
There is. It's the sort of thing where it's a lot of work to make something look easy.
But you see the fact that you've kept the window out. So you've expressed the arch internally rather than externally. And the external envelope, that elevation, because you've chosen to put the windows further out, God, that's so refined.
Yeah.
Lads, like,
They've thought through every detail.
and your black conduit,
I cleaned them and sent them off to the powder coaters,
but it makes all the difference.
doesn't it? Yeah.
You know, because otherwise they'd be painted. Again, you see, it's that attention to detail that's so important.
Yeah, we're proud of these.
Well, I'd be proud of everything
Yeah,
so
yeah.
far, you know, unless there's a glitch down the corridor. Huh? Is there a glitch down the corridor? Let's go and find. We'll go and
I gotta
find
find
one.
the glitch.
There are charming design quirks everywhere.
Isn't that just extraordinary? And this is here for noise, is it?
Yes, mostly. Yeah, noise.
It's to separate this living area, say, at night time from bedrooms that are just there. But again, going back to the few basic big ideas of keeping all the arches in one run. So
Yes.
we wanted it glass so that you could still continuously see all the arches.
Yeah, because otherwise you'd have a door here
Yes,
and
you'd be breaking.
that view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I think is just fabulous is when you look down there, because of the location of the mirror, you see the run all the way, and then it's the return, which is the return you're looking at there. So isn't that a stunning view?
The pattern of the arches
Yeah.
is just beautiful.
It was made to house cows, but the builders appeared to have poured love and attention into the design. Led by the building, Fiona and Paddy have continued that tradition of simple but beautifully crafted design.
Yeah, will we go down to the bedroom?
Let's go. You can see the texture on the ceiling.
It's fabulous. The lighting is wonderful, isn't it?
The girls' bedrooms are off the cobbled corridor, along with the family bathroom. The spacious main bedroom, with its roof-lit ensuite, has its own terrace. Herdsman James Flanagan's limewash is faithfully preserved here, but I'm still concerned about heat.
When's the installation going on? It's funny when you come into this room, you can feel the temperature drop, can't you?
It is cooler, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no harm.
This end, it's the slowest drying out. Like, I mean, the whole place has still got lots of drying out still to do, but it's kind of progressively working. It's getting there.
Funny, you can see the line of damp.
We might inject a DPC if the damp doesn't go down.
A damp-proof course is one thing, but I hope they will address pointing and insulation in the future.
It's a lovely room, though, isn't it? It's great to have. I mean, imagine lying in bed and watching the stars.
Yeah.
The moon is fantastic.
And
It's
shooting
really lovely.
stars.
Yeah.
Shooting stars while lying in bed. Amazing.
Yeah.
So you're dead chuffed, the pair of you.
Yeah. Yeah, we're delighted with it.
Yeah.
You should be. My initial reaction when I met the pair of you was it's all going to be a bit sort of perfectionist and to be a bit austere and cold. But it isn't. You know, it's a real family home. And I think hats off to the pair of you for not compromising. There's a real warmth. And as somebody else said, when you're in the house, you feel you're outside. There's a real connection between the inside of the house and the setting and the outside. This home is very lucky to have you as the owners. You've really treated the building with such respect. You've taken it, taken the elements, and if you like, given it a 21st century makeover.
Outdoors, in the forest air of their newly cleared courtyard, the scale of their project is clear.
This home is slightly experimental with that. In terms of
Not on purpose, but we just followed what was needed. You know, we didn't set out to purposely do something unusual. There were areas, yeah, where we were kind of testing out ideas, but mostly it was just listening to what the old building needed.
In terms of BR rating, you know, this started life as a 0, and what will it become?
About a C1.
A C1.
Which is
and
good.
It is, yeah, it's great. And when you've put the insulation on the walls, you'll be in the B's.
You'll be in the B's.
And at the moment, you're using a gas boiler, but you've designed it so that as heat pumps improve, you'll be able to switch over.
Switch over to heat pump. Yeah.
I'm glad they can make the place more toasty when they've done some more saving.
So you bought the property with a bit of land around it for how much?
Under 100,000, and then an overall spend of just over 400,000. So I think overall we got good value on it. I think we're happy.
They felt priced out of Dublin, but now they have the bespoke home of their dreams for about 500,000.
We had to adjust what we wanted to do for inflation, and then we got to adjust things the other way as relevant grants became available.
Yeah, I mean, you started off and there was no grant.
Yeah.
That's made a huge difference.
Yeah, that pretty much cancelled out the inflation to allow us to do the project we had wanted to do day one.
And then we made savings in other things. At the kitchen, we went for X-Display and we got our couch on Dundeal for €100. Things like that. And we've been gathering our furniture for a long time. So we did make savings.
It is amazing if you're willing to put in the legwork, how you can actually save money. But it is time.
It's communication. You're working with the people. You're asking what's the going rate and how can I make it cheaper? And if you can cut 1,000 off here and 1,000 off there, they do all add up.
Yeah.
It's a home of bargains that looks absolutely high-end.
You really should be very proud of the pair of you. You know, this is just a spectacular piece of architecture.
To celebrate this unique home reaching full growth, the housewarming begins. This is a passion project for Paddy and Fiona. And if you like, they've invested so much time and energy into this project and questioned every detail, and have ended up with this extraordinary building, which is a delight. Far from being a sterile home, it's anything but. It's fabulous. It's really comfortable. Love to come down for the dinner party, chill out. Amazing terrace courtyard. Like, really stunning. I have to tell you, I'm jealous standing in this home.